Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 34. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribrajakachaja Stotara Sata Shri Srimadhesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavana Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 34. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna Pramati balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. Chanchalam, flickering. He certainly. Manaha, mind. Krishna, O Krishna, Pramathi, agitating, Balavat, strong, Dridam, obstinate, Tasya, its, Aham, I, Nigraham, subduing, Manye, think, Vayo, of the wind, Eva, like, Sudushkaram, difficult. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, it seems to me, more difficult than controlling the wind. Purport. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy, but ultimately no worldly man can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature it is said, Atmanam rathinam viddi shariram ratamevacha buddhintu saratim viddi mana pragraham evacha indriyani hayanahur vishayam teshu gocharan atmanendriya Mano-yukto bhukteti ahur manishinaha. The individual is the passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is the driver. Mind is the driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance. In all humility, the method prescribed is Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagement to agitate the mind. Chanchalami Mana Krishna Pramati Balavadridam Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Vayur Eva Suduskaram. Our Param Guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said the mind is so turbulent and so intransigent that before going to sleep, we should take a shoe and beat the mind 100 times. And upon waking up, we should take a stick and beat the mind 100 times. And he also wrote a very beautiful poem, and it begins with Dushtaman Tumi Kishera Vaishnav Pratishta Thare Nirjare Gare Tava Harinam Kevala Kaitab. Dushtaman, you rascal mind. Dushta means nonsense, rascal. Dushtaman, rascal mind. Tumi Kisher Vaishnav. What kind of Vaishnava are you? Kishami, what kind? Tumi, you, mind. What kind of Vaishnava are you? Pratishtatare, for your own aggrandizement, for your own pratishta. Pratishta means name and fame. So for your own name and fame, pratishtatare, nirjaragare, you're going to a lonely place to chant, but tava harinam kevala kaitab, but you're chanting in a lonely place is simply cheating. Why? Because we cannot control the mind simply by going away from the material currents. Because the mind is so strong, it will think of money, it will think of sex, it will think of the material and the things that it needs, and it will bring us back down to the material platform, even though we are chanting. So what is this? What is Bhaktisiddhanta trying to say? He's trying to say exactly the same thing that Krishna and Prabhupada is saying in the purport of this verse. He's saying what Arjuna is saying, that Arjuna was a huge fighter. He could fight against demigods. Lord Shiva, he had weapons. He was Krishna's best friend. Still, when Krishna suggested the yoga practice, Arjuna said, it is not possible for me. I'm a prince, I'm a warrior, I'm engaged in material things. I have 5 wives, or whatever, 2 or 3 wives he had. I have children. I am trained to deal with the material energy. I am trained to protect the citizens of my kingdom and to enlighten them. Arjuna was no fool. He was in full knowledge of Vedic conclusions. But he was a fighter. He said, it is not possible for me to give up the fighting and go and sit under a tree in the forest and control the mind. It is not possible. In the same way, it is not possible for us simply by our own endeavor to control the mind. So what is the process of controlling the mind? Again, Prabhupada explains in the purport, Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. You can control the mind when you put it at the lotus feet of Krishna. So how did Arjuna put his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna? He did it by following Krishna's instructions. It is not that difficult. Religion, spiritual life means to follow the law of God. If by your activity, whether in the forest or whether in the city, whether detached or whether attached, if by your activities you please Krishna, then that is perfection, because we are eternal servants of Krishna. And my God, the duty of the servant is to please the master. For example, Arjuna's elder brother, Yudhishthira, he was known as a truthful man. He never told a lie. Also, he never had any enemies. He was Ajata Shatru, that no enemy of his was ever born. Because he was truthful, he was respected by everyone. But one time Krishna asked him that in the middle of the battle, the Yuddha Guru, the military guru of the Pandavas, Dronacharya, was fighting so fiercely, he was killing them. He was defeating their soldiers, their elephants. He was smashing their lions. He was smashing their chariots. And they used to fight from dawn to dusk. So in the evening, Krishna was advising Arjuna and Yudhishthira that you cannot defeat Dronacharya by fighting, because you're his disciples. The disciple can never defeat his spiritual master. No matter how intelligent, you never become greater than the spiritual master. So Krishna advised that the only way you can defeat Dronacharya is if he has a mental breakdown, if he experiences such a great painful event that he will forget about fighting. And what is that painful event? Is that if he hears that his son was killed. Because although Dronacharya was such a fantastic warrior, nobody could defeat him, he had one weak spot. And that weak spot was his intense attachment to his son, Ashwatthama. So, at the end of the day, at sunset, then they could go to each other's camp. They also socialized somewhat. So Krishna advised Yudhishthira that you go to Dronacharya and tell him that Ashwatthama is dead. The next day. First thing, you go to Dronacharya and tell him his son Ashwatthama is dead. But Yudhishthira said, how can I say that? I've never told a lie in my life. So telling a lie is not religious. It is adharmic. It is against religious principle. Being truthful is one of the main qualities of a Vaishnava. It is one of the main qualities of spiritual advancement. It is the first quality. You have to be truthful. Without truth, you cannot make any progress. But here, Krishna is advising him to break the rules of Dharma. And Yudhishthira went to Dronacharya and told him, my dear Dronacharya, I have bad news for you. Your son Ashwatthama is dead. When Dronacharya heard this, he became shocked because he knew that this must be true, because Yudhishthira is famous throughout the world for never telling a lie. Even the demigods glorify him because of his truthfulness. So if he's saying it, he believed it immediately. And he became very, very mentally disturbed. He closed his eyes, he dropped his bow, and at that moment, Draupadi's brother, what is his name? Forget. He came and Drishtadumna came up to Dronacharya and cut off his head. So the moral of the story is that even though externally it appears irreligious, telling a lie, because Krishna ordered it, because Krishna wanted it, then it was perfect Dharma. So this is the process of controlling the mind, is to satisfy Krishna, because Krishna is in our heart. He controls everything we do. Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddesha junati. The Ishvara, the controller of our senses, Krishna, the controller of everything, is within our heart. And we can connect with him by pleasing him. This is the story. So, how to connect the mind with Krishna? The main process in Kali Yuga, in the times in which we live, is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, it is the sound personification of God. It is as powerful as God himself, as powerful as Krishna, as powerful as Balaram, as powerful as Radharani. The chanting of the mantra is so powerful, it is like a blazing fire. And if we chant that name, then we connect with this fire, and gradually we become spiritualized. Just like there is fire and there is iron. If you take an iron rod and put it in a fire, it will become hotter and hotter and hotter and red hot. Eventually it will act like fire. Even though it is iron, it will no longer act like iron, it will act like fire. So this is the process traditionally, and this process is augmented by the Nana Vida Bhakti, or the 9 processes of devotion. Shravanam, Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmanivedanam. Shravanam, by hearing. Hearing what? Hearing the words of Krishna. I've been reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam for 50 years. And I'm a very keen reader. And I'm so not tired. I haven't even reached the beginning of it. One tiny modicum of that of those pastimes and instructions of Krishna remain ever fresh. Krishna is known as Nava Yovana, or eternally fresh. In fact, because when Krishna comes and exhibits his pastimes in the world, he acts just like a normal human being. So he appeared as the son of Vasudeva, so he appeared as a prince. His father was a royal king. He appeared as a prince, as a warrior, and he was hidden in Vrindavan for the first 15 years, 16 years of his life because of the atrocity being committed in Mathura by his uncle Kamsa. But after the age of 15, Krishna came to Mathura, he killed Kamsa, and then his father and mother, Devaki and Vasudeva, mother and father, they performed the thread-giving ceremony and sent him for training to this Gurukula of Sandipani Muni. So Sandipani Muni taught the boy Krishna and Balaram all the different knowledge required for a prince, for a warrior, and at the end of their stay in the Gurukula, it is customary for the disciple to offer the guru some dakshina or some remuneration or some favor in exchange for the knowledge that he has received, as a sign of, not exactly in exchange for knowledge, you don't buy knowledge, but as a sign of respect. So Krishna and Balaram, at the end of their school period, they went to Sandipani Muni, their guru, and said, "My dear Brahmana, you have taught us so well and taken care of us." They were just two boys, 15, 16 years old. They said, "What can we do for you?" So Sandipani Muni and his wife, they thought that these two boys are not normal people. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now he is offering us a benediction. So let us ask him something almost impossible. And they said to him, "My dear Krishna and Balaram, some time ago our son drowned in the ocean. Can you bring him back to life?" So they did that. Krishna and Balaram went, different planetary system, found the boy with in the lower planets with Bali Maharaj and brought him back. And Sandipani Muni was so happy, and his wife, obviously, what more happiness can there be to receive back a dead son? It is unheard of. So they were so ecstatic, so happy, and Sandipani Muni said, "I am so blessed to have two disciples like you, a disciple like Krishna. I'm so happy and so blessed. So I will give you also a benediction. And that benediction is that whatever you speak, my dear Krishna, will always remain eternally fresh." And it is a fact. You read the Bhagavad Gita, you go from beginning to end, and there is no end to it. It keeps inspiring, keeps you attracted. It is ever fresh. Nava Yovana. So this is Krishna. So Shravanam, hearing. Hearing means reading is hearing. For example, I read every day Prabhupada's books, usually the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, and Krishna book. Those are my four favorite. And I read them, and when I come to the end, I start at the beginning. And I never get tired. And that is my connection to Prabhupada. He is speaking to me through his books. By reading his books, Paramatma within my heart evaluates my mood of devotion, and he automatically connects me to Prabhupada. Therefore, Prabhupada is never absent from me, not even for a moment. And anyone who reads his books connects directly with Prabhupada, because it so happens that Prabhupada put his main energy into writing these books. So Shravanam, hearing. Kirtanam, after you hear, it inspires you so much, you want to repeat. It's just like if you have love for someone or something, you always speak about it. Another nice example of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he wrote many books, and he also had a newspaper, magazines in different languages, in Bengali, in Oriya, in Assamese. And when the Gaudiya Math became more extended, and all these publications were being printed every month, every week. There was even a daily newspaper they used to print. Can you believe this? The Nadia Prakash. That was a daily newspaper printed by Bhaktisiddhanta. So many as devotees, his disciples and other devotees, they would write articles and submit them for publication. So he didn't have time to read all these different articles. So he had secretaries to do this. So when a secretary would come to him, his secretary, and say, my dear Guru Maharaj, we have this article which we think is interesting to be published. So he didn't have time to read it, so he would say, how many times is the word Krishna mentioned in the article? And if the word Krishna was mentioned many times, then he would say, publish it. So this is the standard. Because if you want to connect with Krishna, if you actually connect with Krishna, you get a taste of his personality. You get a taste of his sweetness. You get a taste of his love. You become enchanted, and you want to. And it's like having a huge treasure. You want to share it with others. This is the natural result of being Krishna conscious. That you cannot stop speaking about Krishna any more than a lover can stop speaking about his beloved. So, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. Vishnu, about Krishna. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Smaranam, when you hear and repeat, then you remember. Shravanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, serving the lotus feet of Krishna, like Lakshmi Devi does. Arshanam, offering puja in the temple, like Maharaj Prithu did. Vandanam, offering prayers, like Krishna's uncle Akrura. His prayers are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. When he picked up Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan and took him to Mathura, on the way, he saw them, they took bath in the Jamuna, and within the Jamuna river, water, Akrura saw Krishna and Balaram, and he saw the spiritual kingdom, and he offered very beautiful prayers. So Vandanam, Dasyam, becoming Krishna's servant like Hanuman. Sakyam, becoming Krishna's friend like Arjuna. Arjuna is Krishna's friend, and he does what Krishna advises him as a friend should do. And Atmanivedanam, surrendering everything. This is Bali Maharaj's story. So these are the 9 processes of bhakti. You can practice 1 or 2 or all 9, and this is the method by which we control the mind, by connecting it to Krishna. Savaimana Krishna Padaravindayo. To control the mind and put it at the lotus feet of Krishna. You don't want to put it at the face of Krishna. We always look at the lotus feet of Krishna. Not anymore, because humility is very, very important. Everybody goes to Krishna, the demons challenge him, and even the Swakama devotees with material desires, they petition Krishna. In every church, in every temple, in every mosque, people are simply going there and with a long list of demands to God. Please give me this, the other. But if you're humble and don't ask Krishna for anything, you stand out. Krishna notices, this devotee is humble. So, the process of connecting the mind through this Nanavida Bhakti, or 9 processes of devotion. They're also very nicely described in a song called Bhaja Unre Mana by Govinda Das. My dear mind, Bhaja Unre, worship Krishna. How? By Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Padasevana Dasyare Pujana Sakijana Atmani Vedana Govinda Dasa Abhilasare. This poet Govinda Das, he wrote this beautiful poem, and he concludes that my abhilas, my desire, is to serve the lotus feet of Krishna. And Lakshmi Devi, who is sitting on Krishna's chest, she prays to Krishna to come down and massage his lotus feet. Devotees, in humility, they simply want to be at the lotus feet of Krishna. They don't want to. They don't think they are qualified to even see his face, so to speak, to embrace him or anything like this. So this is a very important verse, 634. Chanchalami Mana Krishna. Arjuna is frankly saying, I cannot control the mind, but I can fight for you. That is it. So whatever your nature is, whether it's Brahminical, or whether it's warrior-like, or business-like, or service-like, if you use your nature in the service of Krishna, that is perfection. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we have some comments from Riven Cloud. Hare Krishna, and good evening to all. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Mandy Priya from England. Hare Krishna. Vishnuvamsa, Albert, all glories to the assembled devotees. And we have Lux, Rin Lux, Lakshmi. Rin Lux is Thai for Lakshmi Devi. So we're talking about Lakshmi. Hare Krishna. She's checking in from Chiang Mai in Thailand. And Sudip Barman, love, Albert de Vos, therefore surrender to Krishna always and in whatever circumstances. Exactly. As Krishna says, this Vrishni Vamsa is commenting, therefore surrender to Krishna always in whatever circumstance. And that reflects exactly what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Tasmad sarveshu kaleshu mad anusmara yudhyacha. Therefore, tasmad sarveshu kaleshu, and at all times, my anusmara, think of me, yudhyacha, and fight. My arpitam, manobuddhi, dedicate your mind and intelligence to worship me. My arpitam means worship me, manobuddhi, with your mind and intelligence, and then you will come to me. Mandy Priya closes the comments with saying, good to have you back. Dear Prabhu, thank you for another very good class. Hare Krishna. Very good. Thank you for participating. Always indebted to you that you take the time to listen to me. And I have nothing to offer except little bit I got from Srila Prabhupada. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Hare Bol.